Hello and welcome to this presentation on the future of Holden marketing. My name is John and I'm the head of JRPR. To start off with, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our company. We're a medium-sized enterprise dealing with the consultancy of sales and marketing in Tasmania. We started off in 1995 in Sydney, but shortly after that the caretakers at the time decided to move our operations down to Hobart on the basis there would be more opportunities down here. And since then we've been doing a range of different tasks such as selling refrigerators in Antarctica and also distributing sand in the Saharan Desert. With our general strength being this idea of never giving up and this self-belief that we can do anything. Now let's begin on our presentation of Holden. We'd like to begin this by having a quick look at the current trends in the industry. Last year, over 1.1 million cars were sold in Australia, new cars that is, and with companies such as Audi and BMW making great progress in the amount of cars that they were selling. But on the other hand, Holden was one of only a few major manufacturers of cars that sold less cars in 2015. And there may be many causes for this, but JRPR believes that one of these integral sort of reasons for the drop in Holden sales is because the messages Holden is sending in their communications to the public are mixed, and this lack of synergy is turning people away from the brand. As you can see here, this is one of the messages that Holden is sending to the people, and this is one of abandonment, that Holden is no longer producing cars in Australia. And of course this message has its opposite, of course, which is that Holden has been making cars for Australian conditions for years. And here we have the Lang testing grounds, which is where Holden has been testing cars for Australian conditions for a number of years, and which will continue to do so. And although there is this lack of synergy in the real base sort of ideas of Holden being connected to the Australian folklore, we can see that there is some of these messages are really strong still in their marketing campaign. And one of these is the Holden grassroots sponsorship, in which we believe that these sort of values that Holden is trying to put forward are really cemented. Quoting from their website, we can see where Holden says, "Local sporting clubs are an integral part of the Australian way of life, much like Holden. And that's why we've made a long-term commitment to helping grassroots sport by giving local clubs a chance to upgrade their facilities with the Holden Home Ground Advantage project." And this is the type of commitment we want to see from Holden, is that they are still part, even though they are not producing cars in Australia, they are really still part of Australian folklore, and they have this commitment to producing cars for Australia. And so to do this, we have come up with two smaller ideas in order to further this idea of this commitment to Australia. The first of which is a graduate program, which aims to foster sort of some more employment of Australians in Holden, with the idea that Australians will always be making cars for us. Holden will always be employing Australians to make their cars. And secondly, a media campaign which aims to bring together the sponsorship tasks Holden does and combine it with social media. So the first of these is the graduate program. And there's two real main goals to this sort of activity. One is that they are replacing the employment that Holden is no longer doing in Australia with the manufacturing of cars, but instead switching to a more futuristic approach, which is of course that they are hiring highly educated people to help through all of the stages of the Holden production of cars, through design and business and interior and all that kind of stuff, so that they are making cars for Australia. And the second part of this is that Holden, while it no longer is making cars in Australia, has always proclaimed to be making Holdens for Australian conditions, such as the Lang testing grounds. But wouldn't it be a stronger message to send if Holden was also having Australians making cars for Australia, as to opposed to someone else making cars for Australia? Because anybody can do that. And the second part of our revised campaign is that we bring in all these sponsors that Holden is working hard to tie to the brand, and we bring them into the realm of social media, because the two in Holden have been seen as two separate entities. They have the sponsorship on one hand and they have the digital campaign on the other. But we would like to see these two merge together, and so that the messages that Holden is sending with its sponsors, and that they are happy to sponsor people who are Australian or typically Australian, such as Cameron Smith, famous NRL player, and bring that into their social media so that they can send these messages across a further array of different mediums. And that pretty much wraps it up for us today here at JRPR. Thank you for listening for our presentation.
Rock and roll.
5:48.